Dang, I am not even playing around. You guys are probably gonna get an honorary bachelor's degree after this video because we are going center of the earth level deep on income properties, also known as residential multifamily properties right here in Miami-Dade and Broward counties. So we're doing something a little bit differently in this video. I'm excited. If you're excited, if you appreciate the fact that I'm always trying to reinvent the wheel, I'm bringing you this data directly from the MLS so that you can make the most informed real estate decision right here in South Florida. Do me a quick little favor. It costs you $0.00. That's 100% return on investment. And if you could just go ahead and smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and share this video with anyone who might find it useful, it'll be very much appreciated, and it definitely helps me in growing the channel. So without any further ado, we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff, guys. We're looking at residential multifamily properties. That's duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes in Miami-Dade and Broward counties mixed together because the markets are pretty similar. A lot of times, if someone's willing to look at multifamily properties in one, they're willing to look at multifamilies in the other. So we're grouping them together because there's a lot of overlap in the two markets. So we're looking at everything. I mean, literally everything. I'm not even going to tell you what we're looking at. You just got to stay tuned because there's so much stuff. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be jam-packed with information. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and skedaddle on into the video. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at here is the number of active listings over the last 10 years, going from 2012 until 2022. So what we see is that in the 2010s, we would kind of bounce in between anywhere from around 1,300 to 1,600 active listings. Right around 2016, we started having less new listings coming on the market, and this caused our number of active listings to decrease a lot. And then in between about 2017 to 2022, last 5 years or so, we've been bouncing around more of like the 800 to 1,000 active listings at any given time. Had a big decrease in active inventory at the end of 2021, beginning of 2022, went down to around 700, and then it popped back up. And then the last couple months, we've seen now it's going back down. So very interesting. We're going to take a look at inventory in a more of a near-term basis here in a second, but I just wanted to show you guys that over the last 10 years because I don't always look at graphs over the last 10 years because sometimes it can be hard to draw any meaningful conclusions on a near-term basis. But with this, we wanted to definitely take a look at like where have we come from even over the last 10 years to try and understand the market. Now, the next thing is the number of sales. So we can see that number of sales over the last 10 years, they bounce back and forth, you know, and it's definitely a bit of a seasonal situation as well, always is. But, you know, this is bouncing back and forth anywhere from 100 to 150 generally number of sales per month. And then we had a big pop off here in 2021, right? And that's probably, you know, a big reason why we saw that decrease in the number of active listings at the end of 2021. Beginning of 2022, because look how many more sales that we had, right? Now, interesting to note is that since this year has started, we had a big pop off of sales, you know, from basically until about February. And then since February, it's basically done nothing but go down. And now we're back in line with sort of the middle expectation of what we've experienced over the last 10 years as far as number of sales. Okay, so the next graph that I wanted to show you guys here is a pairing of the number of sales versus the number of active listings. Now, this is over the last, almost 4 years, 3.5 years or so, from January 2019 until August of 2022. So green line is number of sales, and the blue line there is the number of active listings. So what we can see here is that with our number of active listings, you know, and we saw this, you know, on a grander scale of the 10 years. So, well, here's just the last, you know, 3.5. We can see we were more or less even. And, you know, even when the pandemic hit, we actually had a bit of an uptick there in the number of active listings, where a lot of other markets, a lot of other sectors of the real estate market, such as single family homes, et cetera, we saw a decrease in number of active listings as people weren't listing their homes. But with multifamilies, we didn't see that same thing. But since about about around July of 2020, we have seen a decrease until January 2022 in the active listings. And then, like we were saying, it popped up. Then, right around May, we've seen a decrease in active number of listings. So we'll keep an eye on that and see if that continues. But what we've seen with number of sales over the same period of time is pretty much a gradual increase, right? So there's been more demand, as it were, for multifamily product in the Miami-Dade and Broward markets in the last 4 years. It's been a sector of the real estate market that has been growing in popularity, as evidenced by the fact that there's more sales in that market, okay? Now, this is largely due to upward mobility in rent prices. So you're buying a multifamily unit, you're not just getting one rent, you're getting at least 2, maybe 3 or 4 rents from different tenants. And with the ability to increase rents, because rent prices in Miami and Broward have been crazy, you have a good opportunity to get a good return on your investment there, to be quite frank. Whether you like that or not as a renter, I mean, it's the free market essentially. Now, what I wanted to show you next here was the number of sales versus the number of new listings, right? Because if we don't have enough new listings on the market, and we still have a lot of sales, then eventually you'll have, less new listings than sales, and you will no longer have a market. You no longer have anything to buy if, nothing gets listed. But thankfully, we haven't seen as much of an issue with that in multifamilies as we've seen in like single families, for example, single family homes. So what we've seen is, again, that gradual increase in number of sales. So it's gained in popularity. But what we've seen as far as number of new listings, of course, we're going to have, a bit of bouncing around back and forth. We've seen pretty much it looks like we've had a bit of a pop off in 2021 and 2022, but now it's kind of come back down as far as the number of new listings. Like we've spoken about, the active number of listings has gone down, and that's partially because the number of new listings has also decreased significantly. So we'll see if we get another bounce up, let's say maybe in the wintertime here, maybe around October, November, maybe we'll see this line start to go back up. We'll get some more inventory on the market. Now, as far as the number of sales, we've seen both sales and new listings go down, right, as of the last few months. So what does that tell us? If there's less sales and there's less new listings, well, there's less inventory, but also there's less demand, right? Well, why is there less demand? Maybe because interest rates have just gone absolutely insane, right? So we're going to be talking about this in this video some more, but keep in mind that sales are down and new inventory is also down, as well as overall supply, which is the active listings. So next I wanted to show you guys here the median sale price versus the median days on market. So we're kind of getting an idea of how long things are staying on the market versus what their median sale price is, okay? So the first thing that we notice here is that we've had an overall upward trend in median sale price. That's no surprise. We've gone from about 350 to, about 575. We even crested up into about 650 back in around April of this year. And since then, we've seen a decrease in median sale prices for these multifamily properties. But has it leveled off here in the last month? We don't know yet. We'll have to kind of see. It might be that it has, and it might be that it continues to go up, or it might be that if interest rates continue to stay high, we could continue to see median sale prices go lower to meet the market where it's at, to meet buyers where they're capable of purchasing. Now, what we see with the days on market here is an overall downward trend, meaning it's taking less time to sell this product. There's more and more demand, like we spoke about, for these multifamily properties, and as a result, they're staying on the market for less time, right? So the interesting thing to note here, though, is that we got down to right around almost 20 days on market back in May, and then since May, June, July, August, we've seen nothing but increases in days on market. Now, keep in mind too, this is median days on market and median sale price. We use medians because it's a better representation of the middle number. If you use averages and you have extreme outliers, it can throw off your figures and make them seem, it could make it seem like the days on market is much larger, much longer period of time on, median. So, but what I wanted to point out about that, though, is that there are a lot of properties in the multifamily market that have been sitting for a long time. And it's going to be interesting to see how that inventory is absorbed into the market. Will those sellers ultimately make deals and cut prices or decrease the price after they go under contract? Or will they just let the listings expire? Or, what's going to happen? So we'll keep an eye on that. That's for sure. Now, next up, I wanted to show you guys months of inventory versus the number of expired listings. So months of inventory, we know we've spoken about that before. If you've watched my channel, months of inventory is if no new listings came on the market, how long would it take to sell the existing supply? How many months, right, of inventory? So that's the green line there. And what we've seen is an overall downward trend up until April of this year, okay? We did have a big old pop off there once COVID hit because there were like half the number of sales that normally were happening in most sectors of the market. Now with multifamily properties, there still were a lot of sales, but there was a lot less than there normally would be, and that's why you see that big pop off there. So don't pay too much attention to that. That's like a COVID outlier. But what we see is that since April of this year, we've seen months of inventory going up. So remember what we just talked about a couple slides back, how sales, number of sales and inventory are both down, right? So we have less inventory to choose from and sales are down, so less demand. And what you see as a result of that is an increase in the months of inventory. It's going to take more time to sell what's there, right? So that's very important to keep in mind because if you're a seller in this market, you could potentially be getting left behind by the market if you're not priced properly. If you're a buyer in the market, it might be time to possibly go out there and get yourself a deal. So if we're looking here at the number of expired listings, this is an interesting one that I just thought I would bring up. We don't normally talk about expireds, but it's an important part of the market because these are homes that didn't sell. They were canceled or taken off the market for whatever reason. And what we see is pretty much stability up until about halfway through the pandemic. And then we started seeing more and more expired listings. Now, why could that be? Maybe it's because sellers are getting a little bit ambitious with what they want for the price of these multifamily properties. I can confirm I've seen some multifamily properties that are insanely overpriced and they don't sell. They end up sitting on the market for hundreds and hundreds of days in a time when you just saw the average days on market on that last slide there, right under 40 days, okay? So if the median time, I shouldn't have said average, the median days on market is about 38 days on the market and your property is sitting there for 200 days, well, what do you think, might be going wrong here? Like we say, the three reasons that properties don't sell. It either does not show well because it's dirty or smells bad or something like that. It's not easy to show because you can only see it on Tuesday at 11:32 a.m. or it's priced too high. Those are the only three reasons properties don't sell. A lot of reasons, a lot of properties, a lot of multifamily properties are tenant occupied, so they're not easy to sell or easy to show, but it can also be because they're overpriced. And that's what I think a lot of this uptick in the expired listings is representative of. Now, wanted to show you guys another graph here. You have the closed price to original price ratio for multifamily properties. Now we kind of used to, in the last, 2019, 2020, we were bouncing anywhere from 92 to about 95%. Right around 2021, things took off and it was more between like 94 to 97. And then in 2022, it's gone from about 95 to, 98.5%, but boom, dropped back down recently to 94%. So again, looking at that uptick in expireds, right? Big uptick in expireds over here versus over there. And then over here, we see close price to original price ratio going down, meaning that sellers had to ultimately sell for significantly less than what they were listed for. In other words, if they didn't do that, then they might have ended up being one of those expireds. Sales are down, inventory is down. It's not the time to be resting on your laurels of, oh, I think my multifamily property is worth $2 million a duplex. I'm not going to accept anything less. I'm being hyperbolic, but you guys get the point. It's not the time for that. The time for that was, more like back here, even though people were, getting like 96, 97% close price to original price ratio, better than 94% on average. So, definitely not the time to be, deaf to the market, essentially. Now, last graph that I wanted to show you guys here, and then you'll receive your honorary bachelor's degree from Fletcher Real Estate University. We want to look at list price to square foot ratio, right? So this is basically letting you know what the cost per square foot is for each of the, on average for multifamily properties compared to the list price, right? So, back in 2019, they were listing for about $250 per square foot. Fast forward a year later, still about the same thing. Fast forward a year later, just up $50 up to $300 per square foot. Fast forward another year, you're up to $350 a square foot. Okay, not even a year later, you're talking about 7 months later, you were up to $400 per square foot. So things were getting out of hand real quickly in the last year and a half here. But what's really interesting and inspiring and gives me hope is that we start to see this line trending downwards over the last couple months there. And, honestly, hopefully it gets back into like the $300 per square foot range, because I'd like to make some acquisitions myself. So what does this mean if you're a seller of multifamily properties in Miami or Broward? What does it mean if you're a buyer? So if you're a seller of a multifamily property, like I've said in this video a few times now, it is absolutely imperative that you pay attention to the market, you listen to what the market is telling you if you want to get your property sold. If you want it to sit on the market for a long time, then price it at whatever you want, But if you want to actually get it sold, you need to know where you stand in the competition with the other active listings on the market, and you need to know where you stand against the sold properties. In other words, where was the market just recently? Like, what are people paying for things? What's the average days on market? What's the median sale price? What's our inventory doing? All these things that we just talked about. You need to be paying attention to those things moving forward as your property's on the market, so that you can listen to the market and adjust if necessary. Because honestly, like we saw, if you're on the market by 38 days, well, guess what? You're over the median. So something's going wrong there. And I definitely highly recommend having a qualified real estate agent to help you with that, to make sure that you're maximizing the value for your property, getting the best marketing, the most exposure, getting top dollar for the property, and getting it sold so that you can do something else with those funds as soon as possible. Now, what does this mean if you're a buyer of multifamily properties? Well, personally, for me, I think it's maybe time to hold off for a second to see, number one, what happens with interest rates, because investor rates are sky high. Personal property rates are sky high, like conventional is at like 6%. And then as we've seen a reduction in inventory and a reduction in sales, that means that we're seeing like a slowdown in the market overall. So it might be time to, one of two things, either wait it out if you're having a hard time finding the right property for you or the right investment, or the other option is to dig through some of the listings that have been on the market, like I said, for some of them 100, 200, 300 days, and give them a call, see if, hey, are you willing to come back down to reality here? Because, with all the decrease in demand and reduction in sales, et cetera, maybe they haven't been getting a lot of calls. Maybe those sellers are ready to make a deal. You never know until you try. So that's what I would be doing personally. And of course, always is going to be beneficial for you and is, of course, free to you if you're a buyer to use a expert real estate agent such as myself, okay? So that's about it as far as multifamily properties here in Miami-Dade and Broward. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you own any multifamily properties? What are you seeing going on? Are you looking to buy or looking to sell any multifamily properties? What has been your experience so far? Overall, I think that prices are going to continue to go up over time, but we could maybe potentially see a little bit of a correction in prices as we see a continued decrease in number of sales, most likely due to increase in interest rates. So if interest rates go back down really quick, which I don't think most people are expecting, then we could see those prices continue to go up in the near future. But if interest rates continue to be like 6% around there, or maybe even going higher, then we could continue to see less sales, and then we could, as a result, see a reduction in median sales prices, median list prices, etc. So, those are my thoughts, guys. Hope that you enjoyed the video. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. If there's any market areas in Miami or Broward that you would like me to do a market update for, let me know in the comments down below. Love helping you guys out. And if you need the help of a dedicated professional real estate expert in the South Florida area, all my contact info is in the description down below. Reach out to me anytime. You can schedule a free consultation with me, and it'd be my honor to help you out. I would love to help you out. So reach out anytime, and hope you guys are having a fantastic week. Until the next one, hope you guys keep on winning. Jake Fletcher here with the Fletcher Group at eXp Realty, your personal Miami real estate agent, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.